There you go. Okay, so we've got the presentment where they're asking for the consideration of the money.
Right.
Now, I want to touch again briefly on this contract trust account because that's something that's at the IRS. Now, you're saying that we need to invoke it or acknowledge it up front.
Yes.
So that is one preliminary step we have to take. Talk to me more about that.
Well, what we do is the odd thing about, we've been searching for this for years. I mean, literally dozens of years, Reese, and it took 6 months of, I won't throw names out here but some people may be aware of what's going on, maybe not. But I'm not going to throw names out for people to, try to search or whatever. But there were dozens of us that have been researching this for years and years and years, and there was one individual who got so focused and apparently had a lot of time on his hands. Spent 8 months chasing code after code after code after code. The code that applies to our ability to utilize what we call the WFIT, which is a widely held fixed investment trust, so everybody knows.
WHFIT, yeah.
Right. That's widely held in fixed investment trust. This is what the Social Security Administration and the IRS call it, their definition. The code is the only section of code in Title 26 that's written exactly backwards from all of the other code entries. You cannot find it. If I gave you a reference to it right now and told you what they were, you would not find them. You would go into Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and find a page that talks about liquor stamps and illegal stills and penalties and so on and so forth. It's written exactly backwards from all of the other codes. It's a very short section, very concise, very clear.
So you have to go to actually where it's held in the building. You got to go like physically where it's at to find it?
Yeah, I have a link to it. I'm going to give you all of this later so you can disseminate it through your email contacts.
Sure.
But I will give you tons of things probably over the next few days.
So this widely held fixed investment trust is connected to the A4V process?
Yes, it's in a very indirect way. The A4V does not directly address the Cestui Trust, other than we annotate our paperwork in such and such a way.
Your birth certificate, social ID.
Right, and even the Foreign Situs Trust, that being the birth certificate with the DTC, we don't even address that for the A4V. We really don't need to. And to tell you the truth, to utilize the A4V because of House Joint Resolution 192 and because of Public Law 7310, or public policy as we call it now, because we have no laws. I'll explain that in a moment.
Public policy, yeah.
Public Policy 7310, and the provision as written in the older version of 31 U.S.C. 5118 D2. No demandant for money can specify a particular species of money he wishes to be paid in.
They can't say Federal Reserve notes.
They cannot specify Federal Reserve notes. All there is nowadays is credit.
Okay, so that's key, folks. Let's really focus in on that. One of the crucial fundamental reasons that this process exists and that it works is because we have no lawful legal money in circulation.
Exactly. All we have is credit. Yes.
So this is a remedy to the citizens, to the real flesh and blood people who the gold was confiscated from, I'm going to strike out and say. So it's for both
illegally, if I might add.
Real man. Oh, yeah, quite illegally. It was actually voluntary, but people thought it was mandatory. Some people did, some people didn't. But you didn't hear about the ones who didn't, of course.
No.
But
no, they have names like Rockefeller and
yeah, Rothschild.
Yes.
Yeah, the purse carriers for the Vatican. Yeah, we know.
Right. The people that actually own the country.
Yeah, the secret government, if you will, shadow government people.
Well, that's what they are.
Yeah. So basically, then we've got our account. Then the Cestui Trust being your social, birth certificate, And then, of course, you have the birth certificate down at the DTC, which is the securities document where the money is held and where it is represented. So your exemption is actually at the DTC with that birth certificate, but we don't actually have to tap into it per se to use it, is what you're saying.
No, it interfaces with the Sestacue Trust, actually. It's a separate trust all by itself. And the reason...
These numbers are what give us access. The Social Security without the dashes.
And and just I'm going to give people a moment here to, if they have one, a relatively newer Social Security card.
Yes, I spoke of that. Now, is this due to the reorganization in '99 of the bankruptcy?
Well, it's no. I want people to look at the back of their Social Security card and see if they have a red 8-digit number prefaced by an alpha character.
Yeah, I just got a new one. That's what mine looks like.
That is the private exemption account, or the private exemption number, which we very seldom use anymore. I'm not going to go into that.
I thought it was a bond number.
It is not only a bond, but you will find that number on Federal Reserve notes.
I knew it. I told people that. I knew it. I figured that one out. I was like, you know what? This is the digits on the money they print, because it only makes sense.
That's right. Yeah.
If we're the full faith and credit, and the government's giving bonds to the Fed to print the dollars, bam, there's your money, your number's there.
That's right. It's our number.
So
the
basically,
odd thing about this is you can get 3 Social Security cards a year.
10 for life.
10 for life. Every number on the newer cards, the exemption number on the back, will be different on every card.
Every time you get one. So what are you doing? Setting up different bonds every time you order a card?
That's right. Yeah. All you're doing is you're giving public license and private license to the Federal Reserve to print more money.
So it's amazing that they don't promote for people to get more Social Security cards. That's weird.
Well,
they don't really promote that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt. It certainly isn't going to hurt anybody to do that, but it doesn't actually serve a purpose either, as some people say, that you can collapse, to 10 trust accounts and get $3.5 billion. And somebody with the initials PTK was putting this out. We won't go there.
Right.
Because I really have an issue with that. But the reason I want to bring this up is because we have the public side, which is the Social Security number. That's the public trust and the public exemption number. Right. Or without, either way.
Oh, okay. The number itself. Okay.
Yeah, it works either way. They don't just trust me. The IRS knows where those dashes go.
Right.
The private number on the back is when if you are using say you're trying to get somebody extricated from prison via the GSA forms, and you're familiar with what those are.
Yes.
We use the private number because the private number is directly tied to the Foreign Situs Trust at DTC. DTC is holding the prison bonds.
So the bond that locked the person up, they have the bonds and the birth.
Right. They're doing the transactions against those judicial bonds. So when you try to extricate someone from jail or prison or whatever the situation might be, you use that private exemption number on your forms. You use the birth certificate number in the newer.
So you have to go get your bond number off your birth certificate too.
Well, you have to not the bond number per se. You need the actual birth certificate, federally mandated newer code, 3-digit - 2-digit - 5-digit. The federal government
on the birth certificate, though.
On the birth certificate, yes. And some of us older folks. No, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but some of us older folks don't even have that newer code on ours.
Right. Like my folks.
So when if you're trying to extricate someone from prison, you have to deal the DTC into the transaction.
Now, I know we put them on the forms, but they were just like as an employer or something. I think it was the employer.
No, actually, no, they're the actual surety holder. on the 289091.
Oh,
We put
okay, so you actually
Depository Trust Corporation or Depository Trust Company, 55
right.
Water Street, New York.
Yeah.
5th floor. That's where they're at.
So they're the actual surety.
They're the actual surety for all of these bonds.
Interesting.
And
So
they're actually the beneficiary too, which is very odd.
Well, yeah, that's like the banks. Beneficiary.
Well, there you go. So anyway, background. See, it's a matter. People need to connect dots.
Yeah, that's what this is. We're connecting some fundamental dots for folks. Like I said,
They are very fundamental dots to the understanding.
The basic stuff is out there, face value,
right.
accepted
Getting
for value.
back
It's out there.
Right. Getting back to HDR 192, which some people will argue has been rescinded, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. It's been codified and cited in court cases. So it still holds up.
Glad you spoke to that. Okay. I heard that too.
HDR 192 applied only to Washington, D.C. residents because the House Joint Resolution does not apply to the national or state citizens. Right. So they had to codify it in Public Policy 7310 and the 31 U.S.C. 5118 D2 to apply to the rest of us. The reason they had to pass the resolution is because they'd taken the constitutional money. You cannot pay a debt with another debt. In other words, with federal
precisely what they have us doing.
Right. Yes, that's what they have. That's what. But we can't. All we can do is discharge it into the future. It's a set off.
It's a set-off into the future, folks, when they apparently, I guess, bring back the standard of lawful money, which who in God's name knows when that's going to be.
Exactly.
So
there's
all of these debts are being put off into the future, which is why China's sitting there tapping their fingers like, okay, so when are we going to do this?
Yes. Well, let me address the China issue in just a moment. But the reason they had to pass HJR 192 is because they committed treason against the Constitution when they took the constitutional money. That's a death sentence unless they provide a lawful remedy.
Right.
This was their lawful remedy. HJR 192 and the provisions now under public policy in 31 U.S.C. Without that, there would have been blood in the streets.
So people were using this then when it first came out, probably.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the people in the know how to do it. But
the account that we have to set up, though, so if the Social Security account is there, the bond number on the back, that stuff is already set up. The account is already there.
Yep.
Now, the UCC contract trust account, we have to, invoke it or acknowledge we know about it? What exactly are we doing?
Yeah, it's basically an acknowledgement that we're aware of it. We are declaring that we are no longer functioning as an adverse party.
Oh, you come out of conflict.
Yeah. Well, see, this falls under the Trading with the Enemy Act. We're all enemies of the state.
Yes.
We are the enemy.
Yes, folks. With the American is the domestic terrorist. So if you hear people say that word, stop tripping over it, because if you're not U.S. government.
They had to do this under Title 50, Trading with the Enemy Act. Because
they became an enemy because they committed treason when they stole the gold.
Exactly. So we're their enemy, and they told us that. Right. Yeah. So that's why we're the adverse party, because we would take umbrage with the fact that they're stealing our money.
They stole from us. Right. So once we say, okay, hey, I'm not tripping, I'm going to use this process, then they're cool with us. So basically, accessing the contract trust account is just saying, hey, I know it's there. Now, it's at the IRS. It's physically where this account is. And there are no numbers to it or anything like that.
It's actually probably with the Federal Reserve. They never really tell us, where the funds are.
But, this is the actual money the account is in. I mean, the account.
It's with the Federal Reserve. It is with the Federal Reserve. It really is.
The exemption funds come out of the contract trust account.
Right. Yeah. It's part of Treasury. Treasury is owned by Goldman Sachs. I don't know whether anybody knows that or not.
Oh, I didn't. Wow.
Oh yeah, the 3/4 of the Treasury is owned outright by Goldman Sachs investment firm.
Ain't that a bitch?
And they're trying hard to get the rest of it.
Unflippin' believable. God, these people.
Doesn't this irritate you?
Corporatocracy at work. Corporatocracy. Man,
we're back to the Wizard of Oz, which is a very great analogy. And people might want to they might want to watch this movie again because you got to watch what that guy behind that curtain's doing.
Yeah, man. I tell people that all the time. It's a little wizard. You got to just debunk him.
So they gave us our remedy. They just didn't tell us how to
So there's really no major significance of this UCC contract protection account. It's just there. Just know it's
just there. Yeah.
You're going to do it. You're going to invoke your awareness of it.
Yeah, it's not.
There,
it's
we're
not.
just
it's
stamping
not.
the presentments.
Yeah, it's not magic, and we can access it, and we can utilize it, and we can direct the flow of payments from this account. Now we do this. With the A4V, this is what we do. Without doing the notification process.
Oh, okay.
That's
notifying
the
them that we know the trust exists, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's what we call the WOOF it process.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's a separate one, folks. That's new. It's coming out. It's coming soon.
Right, because we're utilizing various IRS forms.
Yeah, that's deep. We're going to talk about that on a later show.
Yeah,
We're going to keep doing this.
I think that's a later show. Yeah, because like I said, you let me get up on this pedestal or this little box here. I can talk for hours.
I'm like,
yeah.
It's okay. We need to get this
Go
done.
ahead. Direct my flow of thought for me here.
Yes. Okay, so what I want to, so we talked about all the accounts that are involved, the account information. So we talked about the bond number, the social, the contract trust account, which is where the actual money comes out of that's going to pay based on this accepted for value process. So we don't have to get all caught up on that. So now I want to get into the actual concept of, and we talked about the presentment, which is the bill or the account that you're actually trying to pay. Okay, so those are all the accounts involved in the information as it pertains to this process. Now I want to get into the actual conversion of the document, the statement, which is converted to, I'm going to say money or a money order, because I know Doug's call he did last week, he talked about converting the statement to a money order. Now, I don't know if that's the same exact.
Well, we don't
actually. For value is a qualified endorsement, which is not a money order.
Accepted.
Two different things here.
Yeah, we have preferably handwritten seems to work better. But some people actually go out and have a stamp made. And basically, I'm going to give you the layout of what you need to put on any presentment. And some presentments have a coupon at the bottom.
Right, your bill.
So I want this statement at the top. Accepted for value, one line. Exempt from levy is the second line. This is in red ink, or red stamp.
We'll have samples of this stuff, guys.
Right, we'll have samples, yeah. Then your name, preferably in script, in other words, written out by hand.
Signature, okay.
Signature of the real man. Okay. Then a date, preferably the current date. Those are in blue. Signature and date are in blue. Another line, exemption ID, and then your Social Security number without dashes.
Okay, so that's the ID of your exemption is the social.
That's one line. Again, these are in red. Next line, simply deposit to. Next line, in red, United States Treasury. Next line, and charge the same to.
And then that's where you put the bond number.
That's where you print your name rather than scripting it out.
Oh, okay, right.
Printed name. And then underneath that, you put your Social Security number with dashes. So I hope you're writing this down, Reese, so you can, when people go, what was that next line? I was trying to go slow, but sometimes you,
well, you know what?
don't catch everybody.
I have to confess, I'm actually not but I know you're going to give me the sample.
Actually, I'll send you the link to the actual example. How's that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Okay. Now,
work. And then I've seen a couple. I got some stuff already. So,
well, yeah, Doug actually has a very good sample.
Exactly.
At a website, and you probably already have that link.
Yeah, that one I have.
Okay.
Now his was more like a money order, I think.
Well, no. Then we do the money order on the coupon portion or the lower portion of the statement.
Oh, so it's a combination. Okay.
Right. Yes, because at the bottom we write money order or order for money, whichever you prefer.
Gotcha.
And this is handwritten in blue.
Yeah.
Money order.
Money order.
Right.
Yeah.
Pay to United States Treasury.
Yes.
Date. The amount. Then below that we script out just like you would on a check on the lower line. Not the numbers, but where you're writing out, say like $10,500, whatever it is.
Yes.
You write that out, and then below that you put by : and you sign your name.
Makes a lot of sense. So you're
then you put Social Security number again after your signature with no dashes.
We do have a picture of this, a snapshot, folks. This is just an explanation of what we're doing. So the actual presentment is in two parts. You have the statement, you have the remittance portion at the bottom. So instead of tearing that off, you'll do the qualified endorsement, which is the accepted for value language, and we have samples of that. That goes at the top 45-degree angle on the statement. The remittance portion is what we're actually converting into a money order. And if you look up the word remittance, it is a species of money.
Exactly.
That is why they want you to send that statement back with the bill, because they take it and turn it into money again. They've been doing this.
Yep.
Okay, now you can do it.
Also, below your signature, you will again write out authorized representative.
Ah, very important.
Yes, because you're authorizing, in our case, the IRS to go to the private side account to process the funds to do the discharge.
Now, why are we paying the Treasury? And is the Treasury paying the bill? What's the flow on that?
Yeah, because, we have to process in and process out. You have to remember what the IRS does most effectively, above all, besides irritate people, is count beans. So they have to have, it's a double entry process.
Accrual system, double entry.
Under GAAP, yes. Generally accepted accounting principles.
So you're
debit and credit,
and then,
right. Because when it goes to the IRS, it goes in as liability funds, Federal Reserve notes.
Okay, the obligation, the U.S.
Right. When they pay it out, it's hard assets.
So
just as if they were paying in silver or gold. So you're actually
money goes in as a debt and it comes out as a credit.
Yeah, there's a difference between debt and asset.
Right.
So this is why
it comes out as, even though it's all debt money, it comes out the other end as an asset because it's what we're spending.
Right. We're spending an asset.
Show it as okay. So, but it's debt in, debt out, basically.
Basically, yeah. Because the people that they're paying don't care which way they get it.
Oh no, but they get an actual check though, right?
But they get, in most cases they get what they call a FedWire or electronic transfer. It's all credit.
One question I do have though is, why is it, even in cases where the process works, like for a credit card, for example, they'll shut off the credit card? What's with that?
Because they're losing the interest.
Oh, so then they just kill your account?
Well, sure. What does a bank want? How does a bank make money?
Yeah, off the interest,
Interest.
So, but if you keep using the card every month, though. Oh, but I guess they know now you're going to just remedy it every month.
Yeah, it would be like having an American Express card, no interest if you pay it off every month. I'm sorry, we didn't make any money off you. Why should we deal with you?
So is there any kind of solution to that? I mean, because eventually, you're going to be able to keep getting credit cards. What's the deal there?
Well, that's where I would have people transfer over to using the Whippet instead of the A4V, which it's a more advanced process and a little harder to understand. I mean, we'll get to that point at some time and make it completely step by step, basically boilerplate for people.
So really then this comes down to, you satisfied the debt, but we don't want you as a customer anymore because now we can't make any money off of you with interest because you're going to pay off every month.
Well, yeah, you quit being the victim.
Ah, that's so funny. So, I mean, in your experience, have people been able to go back and get new cards, or, like, how's that working?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. But I will also explain a process when we get into the WIPIT whereby you can establish a line of credit with a bank and they're guaranteed payment.
Oh, yeah, we're going to really get into that. We are absolutely going to get into that.
I'm going to tell you way later downstream, probably not on this call because I think we're going to be running over here shortly, but I can actually tell you a way to go down to your local grocer and say, Mr. Grocer, I will give you tax credits. You give me a line of credit of, say, $50,000, and you tell me when I need to give you more credits. And he'll be happy. He'll be happy to talk to you.
Give you a little debit card for your groceries every month.
Well, there's also a thing called the Treasury debit card.
Oh, the black card.
The black card. DTC has one too. It's white. I don't know.
You know, we have somebody that recently made a trip to the Federal Reserve to set all this up, and we're still kind of waiting to hear what happens.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But what we're hoping to do at some point in time, and there have been some changes within the IRS within the last week, and I want to cover those too because it actually helps us tremendously. One major change. But eventually, what we're hoping to do, either by using the straight accepted for value process that I just laid out, or a modified accepted for value, where we use some of the WIPIT processes by using the 1099s, or using a straight WIPIT process, is we hope to get to the point where Treasury understands that we are bringing all of our accounts into honor, and we're going to ask that we be given the Treasury debit card, which tied in directly to our account.
I was wondering how you was going to get that.
Well, I have my ways.
I know that's right. I got your back.
I have my ways.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to grow up into the WIFIT. And when he says WIFIT, folks, it's WHFIT, which is the, what's W again?
It's widely held fixed investment trust, right.
And that isn't a process or an entity or a policy, whatever you want to call it, that
that basically is a Siskiyou trust.
That's how we access. It's a more sophisticated methodology of accessing the same exemption that Ralph and some of his cohorts have figured out, and he's going to be sharing with us down the line. But we're trying to just get everybody a basic, strong, fundamental understanding of the A for V process. So we've gotten into some of the history, account information, converting the statement into the actual money order.
Right. Do you want the addresses?
To the Treasury. You can go ahead and throw it out there. Yeah, just,
okay. Because there are three addresses that work with this predominantly. They are the people that are the specialists, and this might sound odd to people, but these three offices I'm going to give you addresses for are all criminal investigation offices. They are CID. These are enforcement people. They're not the people you call on the phone. I call and talk to them, and you may get to that point at some point in time. But these are the people that know every rule in the book and how to get around it, if there's a way.
About this stuff. Okay.
About this stuff. Yep.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
nothing to be scared of.
No. These people are marvelous. Let me give you a little example. One of my group members last week was trying to do a purchase using the WIPIT process, going to the vendor saying, I'm going to give you tax credits, blah, blah, blah. And went through the accounting, talked to the head accountant at the dealership, talked to the owner, talked to the attorney, and everybody was on board. No problem. We'll give you whatever you want. We'll give you whatever we want. We want to know how we're going to get paid. So she was not quite understanding the exact process herself. She called the IRS at a number that I gave her, and they transferred her over to the credit department, tax credit department.
Okay.
And she talked to two senior supervisors, explained what she was doing, asked them if it was legal, and they went, okay, well, we're pulling your Social Security number up on the screen, and we see that you're one of those people that found the magic code and submitted your paperwork. And yes, you guys have a perfect process, and it is entirely viable to do exactly what you want to do.
Wow.
And we'll be happy to talk to you anytime you want to call.
Oh. So were they able to tell her how her vendor was going to get paid? Was she able to clear that up?
Yeah, she got it all cleared up. She's driving around in a brand new yellow Camaro.
Get out of town, man. This is awesome. Okay, it's going down, folks. It is going down.
And we will use these same three offices plus another one that I'm not going to tell you about yet, but it ties in with the first address I'm going to give you. They established a new office for the WUPIT process. But for the A4V, we use the IRS Technical Support Division.
Okay.
And that's the Treasury UCC Contract Trust Office, Internal Revenue Service at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C. And I know I went fast, and I hope everybody got it. If you didn't, well, I will send these to you.
Archived. Download the show again. And I put the email address commonlawmethod@gmail.com for
there you
questions, inquiries, anything of that nature. Give us a
right. And the other one is Internal Revenue Service, stop 4440, Post Office Box 9036, Ogden, Utah 84201. Thirdly and lastly, for now anyway, Internal Revenue Service, Criminal Investigation Division, Box 192, Covington, Covington, Kentucky